Happy lunch hour, guys. All right. So, what are you having for lunch? You want to pay attention. Now, every once in a while, something pops up in the news, whatever that you've never heard of, that, here it is. That's kind of what just happened to me. Apparently, the CDC has put out a warning basically saying the CDC warns that a red meat allergy caused by ticks is now an emerging health concern. Now, this isn't something new. This is an actual disease that does exist, but apparently it's all of a sudden getting worse. And the interesting part is, how many times have we heard, I don't know, in the last couple of years, you can't eat meat anymore. You need to just eat bugs, all this sort of stuff. So is this expanding? Is this disease expanding? Or is this another scare tactic by everybody's favorite friend, the CDC, who was so accurate here for the last couple of years in telling us all things that are good for us, that we've got to worry about this now. So before we freak everybody out, I want you to take a look at a map real quick to see where they are saying that this is a concern. And it's a good 40% of the country. I mean, everywhere from central Texas all the way up to Maine and everywhere in between. Okay, the entire eastern half of the United States for the most part. This is a disease called alpha-Gale syndrome, or AGS, and it is spread by the Lone Star tick. I'll show you a picture of this tick right here so you can see what it looks like. So if you're out in the woods, okay, anywhere near my property or anything like that, you know what to look for if you see a tick on you, or a tick on your dog or anything like that. Tick get in the house somehow. Well, here's what the deal is with alpha-Gale syndrome. And like I said, this is not something new. This has been around for a while. But what it is you get bit by this tick, and this tick releases an enzyme into your body that then when you eat red meat, and from what I've heard, it could be into pork and stuff like that too, not just beef, but venison, anything like that, that enzyme reacts with the sugars in the meat and causes you to get violently ill to the point where you could wind up in anaphylactic shock. All right, it could be fatal. Now, does that mean, oh my God, everybody stop eating red meat? Well, that may be what Bill Gates wants you to do, because, we already know that, his foundation has already been doing research into ticks and cows, but taking a look at the CDC study, which I will link below here so you guys can read it. Okay. CDC did a test, or a study, I guess if you'll, over 6 years, from January 1st, 2017 through December 31st, 2022. So 6 years long, right? And they tested 357,119 people. Amongst those, 90,018 people received a positive test result and were classified as having suspected AGS. Okay, so, again, we are talking something that is pertinent. I mean, that's 30% of the people are testing positive for this disease. Talking to a friend of mine, he worked with the guy who actually had this and had said, that he would get violently ill from eating meat. There is no cure for this either. That's the other catch, okay? Not only can this tick transmit this, but there's also a host of other diseases that can be transmitted by this tick. Where does the tick live? The woods, like most ticks, primarily where there are white-tailed deer, okay? But anywhere that there's thick underbrush or high grass, okay, and how many times have you heard me say, in an SHDF situation, you still have to figure out how to mow your lawn, because this is going to be an issue. So just something to pay attention to. But, if all of a sudden you get a rash, hives, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, shortness of breath, stomach pain, heartburn, okay, you might want to go get checked out by the doctor. You may not necessarily just have the stomach flu. Okay. This is where we need to pay attention to it. Okay, if we go back all the way to 2010, and I don't want to freak anybody out, I want to give you this. Between 2010 and 2022, there were about 110,000 cases of AGS in the country. Now, a lot of us are very protective about bugs or anything like that we have. Lyme disease is another one that has existed for a long time, and we all know, how to pay attention to that for that. Rocky Mountain spotted fever, which I may have contracted a couple of years ago here, which they weren't sure about, but, because it's like, oh, we don't have that in Tennessee, except I had a bite on my arm that was getting the bullseyes, and I went to the hospital, and I told the doctor, I said, this could be. He goes, you're right, that could be, and so they gave me whatever shot I needed to make sure I didn't get sick. But pay attention to something like this. Educate yourself a little bit on what this disease is, because if you are one of those people who goes out in the woods, goes out in tall grass, gardens, okay, anywhere there's going to be the potential habitat for a tick, you may want to pay attention to this, because like I said earlier, there is no cure for this. And so at this point, you are done eating, for all intents and purposes, meat for the rest of your life. Now, go into how I put this, about the video I was telling you about this morning. And again, I'm going to be completely speculative here, but here's another one where could this be used against the people to all of a sudden make people allergic, for lack of a better word, to eating meat. Remember, they want us to eat bug burgers. They want to get rid of cow farts, all this sort of stuff. We want to get rid of those animals. We shouldn't be consuming those. We should all be vegan. Could this be a ploy to panic the population into not eating meat? Yeah. Is this a legitimate disease? Yeah. But we all know how good that this administration is on spinning teeny tiny little things and making mountains out of molehills. Let's put it this way. Be aware, pay attention to stuff like this. Knowledge is power. But, if you're out in the woods, if you're going to be doing anything where you could feasibly get ticks on you, okay, ounce of prevention, wear boots, wear jeans, good idea. Get a flea and tick collar, put it around your ankle, or ankles, I guess, if you will. Something to keep them off of you. Because, yeah, walking around my yard, which is pretty clean, okay? Not wood, it's wooded, there's trees, but it's not like I'm walking through deep underbrush or anything like that. And I've gotten ticks on me. My dog has gotten ticks on me. My dog has gotten ticks on them, not me. So, just pay attention a little bit and, know this exists. Like I said at the top, I'd never heard of this before. Piece of information to put in the back of the head, just so you know. Pinball out.